Today, we have to learn about the prostaglandins, leukotrienes, eicosanoids, and platelet activating factors in attackoid pharmacology. So, these are also very important attackoids, the PGs or prostaglandins, leukotrienes, or they are also known as eicosanoids and platelet activating factor. These are three very important attackoids and maintaining the homeostasis in the body and many mechanisms, of course. So, prostaglandins and leukotrienes are biologically active derivatives of 20 carbon polyunsaturated essential fatty acids that are released from cell membrane phospholipids. So, each cell is having a cell membrane and it is consisting of the phospholipids, and these phospholipids do release prostaglandins and leukotrienes, and they are the major lipid derived attackoids. Lipid derived attackoids because they are derived from the lipid. And in 1930s, the human semen was found to contract isolated uterine and smooth muscle strips and fall in blood pressure of the animal. And the active principle was terminated as the prostaglandin, thinking that it was derived from the prostate gland. So the prostaglandin means prostate gland. The materials derived from the prostate gland are known as the prostaglandins. And in addition to the classical PGs, just like PGE and PGFs and thromboxane, it is noted, it is abbreviated as TX, and prostaglandins, thromboxanes, and PGIs. Prostacyclins are PGI type of the prostaglandins, and leukotrienes LTS were of great biological importance. So please see the abbreviations of prostaglandin is PGs. Once again, in case of prostaglandin, PGs, PGE and PGFs. So, and thromboxanes TX, prostacyclin PGI and leukotrienes, just like LTs, were of great biological importance. And this is the chemistry of the particular prostaglandins, leukotrienes, and the other lipid derived attackoids. So, chemically, PGs may be considered to be the derivatives of prostanoic acid. So, here below you can see the structure of the prostanoic acid, and prostanoic acid does not naturally occur in the body. So, it has to be, there are many series of prostaglandins and leukotrienes designated as A, B, C, I depending upon the ring structure. So, here depending upon the different rings, the prostanoic acid, and since this is the structure, so in so many places, so many moieties can be replaced, and accordingly it changes in the structures, and PGA, PGC, and thromboxanes, different thromboxanes will be formed according to the structure. And leukotrienes are named because they were first obtained from leukocytes, means leuco means white, leukotrienes, and have 3 conjugated double bonds. They are also known as trienes, and they are also similarly designated as leukotrienes A, leukotrienes B, leukotrienes C, F, and subscripts as 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, leukotriene A1, B1 like that. They are designated depending upon the structure activity differences. So, in the body, PGs, TXS and LTs are derived from eicosA, means referring to 20 carbon atoms. So, that's why they are known as the eicosanoids. So, all these prostaglandins, thromboxanes, and leukotrienes are collectively called as eicosanoids, EICOSANOIDS, eicosanoids. So, in human tissue, the fatty acid released from membrane lipids in largest quantity is 5-8-11-14 eicosapentaenoic acid, or it is also known as arachidonic acid. So, in most of the human body tissue secrete the eicosanoids, and it is in the chemical formula 5A1114 eicosanoic acid, or it is also arachidonic acid. So all the PGs and TXS, LTs are the totally called as the eicosanoids. They are derived from the arachidonic acid, and thus the PGs, which are the most important in case of the men, are prostaglandin E2, PGF2 alpha. Whenever this A is there, then please read it as PGF2 alpha, PGI2 and TX thromboxane A2. And the leukotrienes of biological importance are leukotrienes B4, leukotrienes C4 and leukotriene D4. So the structure is like this: eicosanoid structure 5,8,1,1,4 eicosanoic acid. So this is the structure of that particular acid is concerned. And the classifications of the eicosanoids, as already it is dealt in two main groups. One is prostanoids, the second one is leukotrienes and lipoxins. So prostanoids are further subclassified into prostaglandins, then prostacyclins, or they are also noted as PGIs, and thromboxines like TXS. And the eicosanoids are the most universally distributed autocoids in the body, means in the entire body, in all tissues and all cells. These eicosanoids are universally distributed. So to generalize this thing, practically every cell and tissue is capable of synthesizing one or more types of prostaglandins, leukotrienes, etc. And the pathway of biosynthesis of eicosanoids, we are going to summarize in the next slide. And there are no preformed stores of PGs and LTs, just like noradrenaline and histamine. Noradrenaline is stored in case of adrenal medulla, whereas the enterochromaffle cells and the mast cells store histamines, whereas the PGs and LTs are never stored. They are synthesized locally by arachidonic acid from the membrane lipids in response to appropriate stimuli. So these are never stored in any storage houses of the cell, and hence they are stored in the they are not at all stored immediately. They are produced from the precursor arachidonic acid from membrane lipids, membrane phospholipids. So whenever there is an appropriate stimuli comes, then the PGs and LTs are prepared, and these stimuli activate hydrolysis, including the phospholipase A, probably through increased intracellular calcium. So usually the stimuli causes hydrolysis, activation of the hydrolysis. So the phospholipase A, probably increased intracellular calcium, will increase the process of this phospholipase A hydrolysis. Then the cyclooxygenase or COX pathway generates eicosanoids with a ring structure, especially the cyclooxygenase 1 and 2. They are the PGs and thromboxanes, prostacyclins, whereas the lipooxygenase pathway or LOX produces open chain compounds like leukotrienes. Cyclooxygenase pathway produces prostaglandins, leukotrienes and prostacyclins, whereas the lipooxygenase pathway produces leukotrienes. And all tissues have COX, means cyclooxygenase enzyme, and can form cyclic endoperoxides like the PGG2 and PGH2, which are unstable compounds, whereas the PGE and PGF2, PGE2 and PGF2 alpha are the primary prostaglandins in the body. And name based on separation procedure PGE2. Why the name PGE? Means PGE is named as the ether for the extraction of that particular compound, whereas PGF into the phosphate or some phosphate containing compounds are used to extract the PGF from the tissue. Alpha in PGF2 alpha refers to the orientation of hydroxyl group on the ring. So it is in the alpha position, alpha, beta, gamma, like that. So that's why PGE2 and PGF2 alpha are there. And thromboxanes A, B, C are not found in the, these PGs A, B, C are not found in the body. They are the artifacts formed during the extraction procedure. So only PGE2 and PGF2 alpha are the regular prostaglandins, whereas the others are not artifacts. Others are artifacts. And here you can see clearly that arachidonic acid is forming the prostaglandins and leukotrienes. So the synthesis of eicosanoids is by this particular chart. So under the influence of physiological, pathological or pharmacological stimuli, it is going to be formed. And cell membrane phospholipids and tissue triglycerides. Hello. Cell membrane. So the cell membrane phospholipids and tissue triglycerides are going to give rise to the arachidonic acid with the help of the enzyme phospholipase and acyl hydrolases. The arachidonic acid is formed. Whereas the arachidonic acid, in the influence of this first cyclooxygenase enzyme or COX or the PG synthetase, this is also known as PG synthetase. Whereas from arachidonic acid, cyclic endoperoxides are formed, which in turn going to cause the prostaglandins like the PG isomers and the PGI prostacyclins. PGI series are known as prostacyclins, and thromboxane ACE2 TX synthesis is the enzyme which produces the TXA2. Whereas the another enzyme, that's the lipoxygenase pathway, it is going to produce 5-hydroxyperoxyeicosanol tetraenoic acid, that is 5-HPTE is going to form, and on that particular compound leukotriene synthase is going to act and produce the leukotrienes, whereas the prostaglandins, prostacyclins and thromboxanes A2 are formed from the cyclooxygenase enzyme. Of course, once again cyclooxygenase 1, COX1 and COX2 are also another important enzymes. And we have understood that the COX1 and COX2 are inhibited by the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, so that the prostaglandins, prostacyclins and thromboxane A2 are not formed properly, and hence the inflammatory responses or pyrexia and pain reduces. And here also you can see the biosynthesis of the prostaglandins and leukotrienes, LTs. So here the membrane phospholipid, especially, so membranes of the cell membranes, the phospholipids layer is there to protect the cell, and from that the phospholipase A2 enzyme is going to act on that particular membrane phospholipids, and the chemical and mechanical stimuli, just like the particular same picture, the phospholipase A is going to act on the membrane phospholipids, then ultimately the arachidonic acid is formed. This is the arachidonic extra. And arachidonic acid, cyclooxygenase and lipooxygenase are two very important enzymes, and the cyclooxygenase is going to what you call as the synthesize PGG2, cyclic endoperoxidase enzyme, PGG2 and PGH2. is converted from PGG2. Then there are varieties of the isomers, just like the PGE2, PGD2, and PGF2 alpha. These are all formed. Whereas the PGH2 also give rise to thromboxane synthase with the help of the enzyme thromboxane synthase, thromboxanes A2 and thromboxanes B2. Whereas the prostacyclin synthase is going to produce the PGI2 or 6-keto PGF2 alpha, 1 alpha. So biologically these are all not important things, but the lipooxygenases, they are going to produce the 5-HPETE, means this hydroperoxyquinone tetraenoic acid. So these are also tetraenoic acid is formed, whereas the leukotriene B4 and leukotriene C4 are produced, whereas the leukotriene C4 is going to produce leukotriene D4. Then the slow reacting substance anaphylaxis with the help of this particular substance LTE4 and LTEF4 are produced. All these are the mediators of inflammation, and also the inflammation mediators, the fever mediators, and the body defense mechanisms are being activated. So that can be very simply summarized here. The membrane phospholipids or tissue triglycerides, they are the protective layers of the cell and building a block up of the cell membrane. Then from the cell membrane, the phospholipase and cell hydrases are formed. Then ultimately arachidonic acid is formed. Arachidonic acid is being acted by two enzymes, lipoxygenase and cyclooxygenase or PG synthetase. So PG synthetase induces the cyclic endoperoxidases, and uh, this is acted by the cyclic endoperoxidase, and PG isomerase enzyme produces the prostaglandins, whereas the PGI synthase is producing prostacyclins, and thromboxane synthetase is going to form the thromboxane A2, whereas the lipoxygenase pathway produce 5-HPTE, and from this 5-HPTE, LT synthase is going to form leukotrienes, varieties of the leukotrienes, just as which is leukotrienes here, and leukotriene B4, LTCC4, LTE4, and LTF4. All these things are formed. And lung and spleen can synthesize whole range of cyclooxygenase products. And platelets primarily synthesize the thromboxane A2, which is chemically unstable and spontaneously changes to thromboxane B2. So this is a beautiful mechanism in the body. Lungs and spleen can synthesize varieties of the COX cyclooxygenase products, and the platelets, particularly thromboxanase 2, is chemically unstable, and endothelium mainly generates prostacyclin. PGI2 is generated from the endothelium, whereas the PGF2 alpha, PGE2, etc., they are all produced from the cell membrane, whereas the endothelium of the blood vessels is going to produce the prostacyclins, which also chemically unstable and rapidly convert to 6-keto PG1 alpha. And here you can see this the selective COX-2 inhibitors like the NSAIDs, COX-2 and COX-1. Once again, there are two isomers, cyclooxygenase 2 and cyclooxygenase 1. They are going to be inhibited by non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, whereas the phospholipids, cell phospholipids are converted from phospholipase A2 enzyme, then phospholipase C2 is inhibited by corticosteroids, hence the anti-inflammatory action occurs. Whereas the arachidonic acid, with the help of the enzyme 5-lipoxygenase, is going to convert it to HPTE. Then this HPTE is converted to leukotriene A4, which is converted to leukotriene C4 and leukotriene D4 and E4. So whereas this the varieties of the drugs like zefirlukast and montelukast are going to act on the specific LTD4 and LTC4 receptors and going to cause the anti-inflammatory action, and all these steps can be inhibited by the corticosteroids, which are going to inhibit the phospholipase A2 enzymes, and the cyclooxygenase enzymes are going to act here on the PGG2, which is converted to PGH2. Then once again, with the help of the prostacyclin synthase, PGI2, and the prostaglandin synthase, all these PGD2, E2 and PGF2 alpha, they are all formed. Whereas the thromboxane synthase is the one which is going to cause the thromboxane THA2. So, and all these are here Zileuton is going to act on HPETE formation, and hence all other steps will be inhibited. So this is the pharmacological intervention of the normal body physiological conditions whenever it is required. And cyclooxygenases are known to occur in two forms, cyclooxygenase 1 and cyclooxygenase 2. While both isoform catalyze the same reaction, especially the COX-1 is a constructive enzyme in most cells, and it is synthesized and also active in the basal state. The level of COX-1 activity is not much changed once the cell is fully grown. So, during the growing phase of the cells, the membrane phospholipids are converted to arachidonic acid with the enzyme phospholipase A2. And on the other hand, the COX-2 normally present in insignificant amount, but it is inducible by cytokines, growth factors and other stimuli during inflammatory processes. So this cyclooxygenase 2 is believed that eicosanoids produced by COX-1 participate in the physiological housekeeping functions such as secretion of mucus, protection in case of the gastric mucosa, homeostasis and maintenance of the renal function, while these are and those produced by COX-2 lead to inflammatory and other pathological conditions. So the products produced from cyclooxygenase 1 are important in case of the gastric acid inhibition and also the production of bicarbonate and mucin from the gastric parietal cells, whereas the COX-2 is very specific in the mediation of inflammation. So, is a specific variant of COX-1 that's designated as COX-3 has been found in dog brain. This lysozyme is inhibited by the paracetamol and is implicated in the genesis of the fever, and extract role in case of human beings is yet to be understood. So, lipoxygenase pathway appears to operate mainly in the lungs, LTB4 and lungs, WBC and platelets. So, its most important products are the leukotrienes generated by 5 lipoxygenases. Then particularly leukotriene B4, it's a potent chemotactic agent, whereas the LTC4 and LTD4 are together constitutes a slow reacting substances of the anaphylaxis. Whenever there is a anaphylaxis, then LTC4 and LTD4 are produced and they are noted as slow reacting substances of anaphylaxis and described in 1938 to be released during anaphylactic reactions. So, the COX-1 variety are important in the production of the mucin through the gastric parietal cells, or COX-2 are very specific for the inflammatory process, whereas the lipoxygenase produces the leukotrienes, and whereas the LTC4, LTD4 are together constitute the slow reacting substances of anaphylaxis. So coming to the another factor, the prostaglandins, leukotrienes and platelet activating factors, a membrane associated with the transfer protein called as FLAP, 5-lipoxygenase activating protein, carries arachidonic to 5-LOX and is essential for the synthesis of the leukotrienes. And platelets have only 12 LOX, and HPTES produced by LOX can only be converted to hepoxylins, trioxylins, and lipoxylins. A third enzyme pathway involving the cytochrome P50 can metabolize arachidonic acid into 19 and 20 HTETs, and the another acid known as epoxycosanoatrenoic acid. So these free radicals can attack arachidonic acid to produce isoproteins and non-enzymatically. Brain cells couple arachidonic acid with ethanolamine to produce the anandamide, and a few other related eicosanoids, which are now recognized to be the endogenous cannabinoid receptor ligands and produce cannabis-like effect. So cannabis sativa is one of the plant, and it is having the cannabin. So this is going to act on the brain and produces cannabis-like effect. Like the other eicosanoids, they are synthesized only when needed at the site of action. So these, none of these prostaglandins or leukotrienes or PAFs are preformed. They are synthesized as and when required with the stimulus to the particular cells. And inhibition of synthesis of the COX or cyclooxygenase then products can be inhibited by the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs or NSAIDs. Usually the synthesis of COX, or even though the cyclooxygenase enzyme COX-1 and COX-2, they are inhibited by NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents. So the acetylcysteine or acetyl salicylic acid acetylates cyclooxygenase at serine residue and causes irreversible inhibition, whereas the other NSAIDs are competitive and reversible inhibitors. So aspirin is the irreversible inhibitor of the COX, whereas the other NSAIDs, like maybe thousands of examples we can give, just like the ibuprofen, paracetamol, and so many other drugs. They are going to reversibly inhibit the enzyme cyclooxygenase. And most NSAIDs are non-selective COX-1 and COX-2 inhibitors. Usually, the 90% of the NSAIDs are non-selective. So they are going to act on COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes. So if the COX-1 is inhibited, then the production of mucin and also the production of the bicarbonate ions, and there will be increased acid secretions. So that's mediated by PGE2 type of the receptors on gastric parietal cells. And some ones like celecoxib, etirocoxib, proficoxib are selective COX-2 inhibitors, and they are very specific mediators of anti-inflammatory process, especially in case of the inflammation. And in the NSAIDs, we are going to learn all these things, how they are going to block cyclooxygenase 2, and what happens if only COX-1 is inhibited. Just like the aspirin, the earlier agents, they were not selective, and recently the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents with selective COX-2 inhibitors have been evolved, and the side effects of ulcers and gastric disturbance is totally devoid of now. So that's also another important research which has led to a greater extent in the science, so that they are made very, very less side effective in terms of gastric disturbances. And the sensitivity of COX in different tissues to inhibition by these drugs, especially NSAIDs, varies selective inhibition, formation of certain products may be possible at lower doses. So, the NSAIDs in the smaller doses, they are going to bind with COX-1, whereas in the larger doses, they are also going to bind with cyclooxygenase 2. And NSAIDs do not inhibit production of leukotrienes, because the leukotrienes are being acted by, produced by phospholipase A2 enzymes, which are inhibited by corticosteroids. And since LTs are not inhibited by the NSAIDs, this may even be increased since all the arachidonic acid become available for LOX pathway. That's the lipoxygenase pathway. So NSAIDs are going to inhibit the production of the cyclooxygenase pathway, hence the prostaglandins and the other inflammatory mediators are produced, whereas they are not going to inhibit the LOX pathway. So, because of this thing, entire arachidonic acid is available for the production of the other inflammatory mediators, especially leukotrienes. So, what happens is it was used briefly in asthma but has been withdrawn. The drug Ziloton inhibits lipoxygenase pathway and decreases the production of leukotrienes. And it was used briefly in asthma but has been withdrawn because of the other side effects. And glucocorticoids inhibit the release of arachidonic acid from membrane phospholipids by stimulation of production of proteins called as annexins, which inhibit phospholipase A2, and they indirectly produce the production of the eicosanoids, indirectly reduce the production of the eicosanoids, especially PGs, thromboxanes and LTs. So leukotrienes, all these, especially the corticosteroids, are so much why they are so much highly anti-inflammatory in action is they are going to inhibit both pathways, the phospholipase A2 and also the cyclooxygenase pathway. So they are going to inhibit the production of prostaglandins, thromboxanes and leukotrienes, all the three type of the attackites. And moreover, they inhibit the production of COX-2 by cytokines at the site of inflammation. So because of this thing, the inflammatory mediators like PGE and PGI2, they are not produced. And degradation, biotransformation of arachidonates occurs rapidly in most of the tissues, but fastest in the lungs. So lungs, they are metabolized. And most prostaglandins, thromboxane A2 and prostacyclin have plasma half-life of few seconds to few minutes. See, they are degraded very fast, but not as fast as acetylcholine, because acetylcholine is degraded within a fraction of milliseconds, whereas these will take few seconds to few minutes. And first, a specific carrier-mediated uptake into the cell occurs, especially the side chains are then oxidized to, and double bonds are reduced in a stepwise manner to yield the inactive metabolites. Then these metabolites are excreted in urine, and PGI2 is catabolized mainly in the kidney, PGI2 especially. This is a special thing, PGI2, that's produced in the kidney. And actions and pathophysiological roles of the prostaglandin is like this. The cyclic eicosanoids produce a wide variety of actions depending upon the particular PG, maybe the prostaglandins, thromboxane or PGI2 species on which the tested tissue hormone status and other factors. Whereas the PGs differ in their potency to produce a given action, and different prostaglandins sometimes have opposite effects, especially the opposing physiological effects. And the role of these agents, especially the prostaglandins in the biosynthetic pathway or the physiological status, is they do not circulate in blood and have no role in regulating systemic vascular resistance. So they are not going to act on the individual blood vessels or they are not going to act on the vasoconstriction, etc., on the endothelial cells. However, the prostaglandin I2 in the blood and have no role in the regulation of the systematic vascular resistance. However, the PGI2 generated in the vascular endothelium cell mainly by COX2 appears to be involved in the regulation of local vascular tone as a vasodilator. So the PGE2 is continuously produced locally in the ductus arteriosus by COX2 during fetal life. COX2 in the fetal life keeps it patent. At birth, it is synthesized and stops the closure occurs, especially and closure occurs. Acetyl salicylic acid or the aspirin and indomethacin induce closure of the ductus arteriosus and it fails to occur spontaneously. And these prostaglandins E2 may also be important in maintaining the placental blood flow. So these prostaglandins are very much required, and if these prostaglandins are inhibited, then there is a chance that the fetal hypoxia may occur. And platelets, thromboxane A2, which can be produced locally by the platelets, is a potent inducer of aggregation and release of the reactions, especially varieties of the aggregation reactions. The endoperoxides PGG2, PGH2 are progressive and pro-aggregatory. On the other hand, PGI2, which is generated from the vascular endothelium, is a potent inhibitor of platelet aggregations. Usually, the PGI2 is total a different entity. It is produced from the endothelial cells, vascular endothelial cells. The role of thromboxane A2 produced by platelets and prostaglandin E2 produced by the vascular endothelium cells probably constitute a mutually antagonistic system and preventing aggregation of platelets while in circulation and inducing aggregation on injury, and when plugging and the thrombosis are noticed. So thromboxane A2 and PGI2 are involved in the regular process of preventing aggregation of platelets. And whenever there is a cell injury, these platelets will come and they aggregate, and then plugging and thrombosis are very much needed. And aspirin interferes with the hemostasis by inhibiting the platelet aggregation. So these platelets are aggregated and the endothelial damage will be inhibited. So the thromboxane is produced by platelet, and platelet COX1 plays important role in amplifying the aggregation of the cell. Hence, whenever the aspirin is used in patients, especially the persons after the cardiac surgery or myocardial infarction, the aspirin is administered and it will inhibit the platelet aggregation, and hence the thrombosis is not formed. So this is one of the side effect, but it is used as a specific effect on the endothelial cells. And before it is deacylated, the liver aspirin acetylates COX1 in platelets while they are in the portal circulation. So further, platelets are unable to regenerate fresh COX1, and because they do lack it, and acetylates COX1 in plates too while they are in the portal circulation. So many platelets are unavailable to regenerate fresh COX1 because lack nucleus, the COX, and do not synthesize protein, while vessel wall is able to do so. That's the vascular endothelial cells produce PGI2. Hence, fresh enzyme is synthesized within a fraction of the hours. And thus, in low doses, aspirin selectively inhibits thromboxane A2 production and has anti-thrombotic effect lasting for more than 3 days. So this is very important. And this side effect, of course, it's not the effect, it is the side effect, and this has been well utilized for the treatment of the thrombotic disorders, especially of the heart. And here you can see that a summary of the actions of all types of the products, especially the prostaglandins and also the other prostaglandins F2 alpha or PGE2, PGI2 and thromboxins. All eicosanoids are here. And the blood vessels, the vasodilatation, there is decreased BP, decreased BP, decreased blood pressure, and vasodilatation is caused by PGF2 alpha. So whenever you are administering the PGF2 analogs, then vasodilatation, larger veins constrict, little effect on the blood pressure. And the prostacyclins like PGI2, which are produced from vascular endothelial cells, do cause the vasodilatation and marked and widespread. Whereas the thromboxane A2, they cause the vasoconstrictions. So whenever so in the inflammatory reactions, thromboxane A2 and the prostacyclins, they act in opposite manner. Whereas the heart, it's the PGE2, it's weak inotropic, whereas the PGF2 alpha, weak inotropic. That's why whenever we administer the prostaglandin analogs like chlorprostanol sodium, there is no much change in the heart rate. That's why they are not so toxic, especially in case of cattle. And then the uterus, the PGE2 causes contractions in vivo and relaxes non-gravid human uterus in vivo, softening the cervix. Whereas the prostaglandin F2 alpha, it causes the contraction of the uterus in vivo and in vitro both. So PGF2 alpha is administered in the advanced pregnancy for inducing contraction of the uterus and softening up of the cervix so that the parturition will occur very fastly, whereas it is not having the prostacyclins and thromboxins do not have any effect on the uterus, whereas on the bronchi, the PGE2 produce the bronchodilation, whereas the PGF2 alpha causes the bronchoconstriction. So PGF2 alpha and the prostacyclins, they are going to cause the dilatation and inhibit the histamine release from the mast cells, and acid secretion, especially PGI2, decrease acid secretion and increase mucosal vasodilatation. So this PGE2, especially in the stomach, they are going to decrease the acid secretion, increase mucus production, whereas the PGF2 alpha do not have any effect on the stomach, whereas the PGI2, which are produced from endothelium, are going to decrease the acid secretion. It's a very weak effect, and also the mucosal vasodilatation is increased, whereas the intestine, the PGI2, the intestine PGI2 contracts longitudinal and relaxes circular muscles and peristalsis PGI2. Whereas the prostaglandin F2 alpha, it's a spasmogenic and increased fluid and electrolyte secretion will be present. Whereas the prostacyclins are the weak spasmogenic and inhibit the toxin-induced fluid secretion. Toxin-induced fluid secretion and inhibit the toxin-induced fluid secretion, whereas all other activities are not so common, just like kidney and central nervous system. Of course, the PGF2 alpha is not having any effect on central nervous system, whereas the prostaglandin E2 is a pyrogenic activity. Is pyrogenic means the fever inducing activity, and variety of the effect on the brain if you inject it intracranially. And release of norepinephrine, the prostaglandin E2 may increase or decrease, whereas the PGF2 alpha, it also may increase or decrease the release of norepinephrine from the stores. And afferent nerves or sensory nerves, are sensitized to noxious stimuli. That's why the pain increases by prostaglandin E2 activity, and tenderness will occur, whereas the prostaglandin F2 alpha, it is not so known, whereas the prostacyclin is very same to that of the PGE2 and sensitizes the stimuli of the nerve endings. Whereas the endocrine system is being acted by prostaglandin E2 and anterior pituitary hormones, steroids, insulin, and TSH like hormones are going to be increased. Whereas the PGF2 alpha, if you administer, release of gonadotrophins, especially the FSH and LH, the prolactin and luteolysis occurs in the animals. And metabolism of the PGE2 takes place because it's anti-polytic and insulin-like action is going to take place, and mobilization of the bone calcium will take place through the PGE2, and other action, no other actions are there by other eicosanoids. And asthma may be due to the imbalance between constrictor prostaglandins like alpha and D2, A2, and leukotrienes on one hand and dilator ones in the other hand. In few individuals, aspirin-like drugs consistently induce asthma, possibly by diverting the arachidonic acid to produce excess leukotrienes like leukotriene C4 and D4 through phospholipase A2 arachidonic acid pathway. And this sensitivity is not shared by the selective COX2 inhibitors, indicating that suppression of COX1 at pulmonary site is responsible for the reaction. So in allergic human asthma, leukotrienes play a very important role, and COX inhibitors are somehow less. And the role of the PGE2 and PGI2 produced by COX2 in kidney appear to function as intrarenal regulators of the blood flow as well as the tubular reabsorption in the kidney. So what happens accordingly, the NSAIDs including selective COX2 inhibitors like rofecoxib, celecoxib, etacoxibs, they tend to retain the salt and water. So that's one of the toxicities or side effect of these COX2 inhibitors. The diuretic action of furosemide blunted by indomethacin, indicating the facilitatory role of prostaglandins by increasing renal blood flow and augmenting the inhibition of tubular reabsorption. So renin release in response to sympathetic stimulation and other influences may be facilitated by the prostaglandins. A Bartter syndrome is characterized by decreased sensitivity to angiotensin 2 is associated with increased PG production, and many of the manifestations are improved by prolonged use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents. And on the central nervous system, prostaglandins, if they are injected directly, and they are going to do some reaction, but if it is injected, the prostaglandins are injected intravenously, penetrate blood-brain barrier very poorly, just like histamines. They are not going to penetrate, and so that the central actions are not prominent. However, if they are injected directly into the intracerebroventricularly, PGE2 produces a variety of the effects like sedation, rigidity, behavior changes, and marked increase in the body temperature. Whereas the PGI2 also induces fever, but thromboxane A2 is not pyrogenic. See, the PGI2 is whenever there is a what you call as bacterial attack or viral attack, there will be a fever. Then this PGI2 is not a mediator of fever, whereas thromboxane A2 is not pyrogenic, whereas PGI2 induces the fever. So whenever you administer the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, the fever will be reduced, especially the paracetamol is the one which specifically reduces the fever. It's a antipyretic, more activity followed by a less inflammatory and less analgesic property. The role of PGE2 in the body, so they mediate pyrogen-induced fever and malaise. The aspirin and the other inhibitors of PG synthesis are antipyretic in nature. So the PGE2s are inhibited and they are producing the fever. Please remember that prostaglandin E2 is responsible for the pyrogen-induced fever and malaise. So whenever you get the fever, you are going to take the aspirin and the paracetamol. The pyrogens, including cytokines released during the bacterial infection, trigger the synthesis of PGE2 in hypothalamus, especially the hypothalamus, which resets the thermostat to cause the fever, and COX-2 is the major isoenzyme producer. So COX-cyclohexygenase cyclooxygenase 2 is very specific in case of the thermostatic activity. And selective COX-2 inhibitors are equally efficacious antipyretics. A role of COX-3 is yet to be discussed. And prostaglandins may be functioning as a neuromodulator in brain by regulating neuronal excitability, and a role of the pain perception, sleep and other functions have been suggested by the prostaglandins. And the ANS, autonomic nervous system, depending upon the PG species and tissue, both inhibition as well as augmentation of the norepinephrine release from adrenergic nerves endings also been reported, especially from the prostaglandins. So, role of prostaglandins may be modulate sympathetic neurotransmission in the periphery. So, little modulating action of the prostaglandin is also seen. And the peripheral nerves, especially E2 and I2, sensitize the afferent nerves, means sensory nerve endings, to pain-inducing chemical and mechanical stimuli. So, the afferent nerve endings, so they are going to induce the, or else they are having the pain process is being regulated. A role of this thing, so they irritate the mucous membranes and produce long-lasting dull pain or intradermal injection, especially the PGE2 and PGI2 are responsible for the pain, whereas the prostaglandins and leukotrienes are also involved in the procedure of the pain. The role of the prostaglandins appears to serve as analgesic agent, means producing the pain during the inflammation, and they cause tenderness and amplify the action of the other agents. Inhibition of PG synthesis is a major anti-inflammatory mechanism. That's why the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents are going to act on the COX enzymes and inhibit the pain process. So aspirin injected locally decreases pain produced by the injection of bradykinin at the same site. And this is the pathway in which the sensitization of nociceptor, means pain receptors, to mediators of pain by the prostaglandins at inflammatory site. Here, the varieties of the substances are the acting as the nociceptors, means pain receptors, to mediators of pain by the prostaglandins. So, the mild pain is induced by the what you call as the non-inflammatory cells, and the PGE2 and PGI2 and leukotriene B4, they sensitize the receptors, especially the sensory receptors which are induced in pain sensation. So the PGE2, PGI2 and leukotriene B4, and also the adenosine triphosphate, substance P, and lactic acid and many more. They are going to stimulus the nerve endings, and ultimately the pain sensation is being felt. The calcitonin gene related peptide CGRP is also going to sensitize the nerve endings to the pain. This is the non-inflammatory cell, whereas this is inflammatory cells or the inflammatory type. Lot of pain is coming because of the PGE2 and PGI2 leukotriene B4 type of the response. And certain receptors are there that's known as the prostanoid receptors. The prostaglandins, thromboxins, and prostacyclins are the PGI to act on their own specific receptor located on the cell membrane. Without any receptor, no drug is going to act. And 5 families of prostanoid receptors have been designated, and after each the natural prostaglandin for which has the greatest affinity. And all prostaglandin or prostanoid receptors are G proton coupled receptors.
Sir, screen not visible.
Screen not visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How come it is not shared? So prostanoid receptor, PGX, TX and prostacyclin act on their own specific receptors located on cell membrane, and 5 families of the prostanoid receptors are there identified, and all receptors are G protein coupled receptor. So they are categorized into excitatory, contractile and inhibitory or relaxant type of the groups. Especially the receptors, prostanoid receptors are excitatory or contractile, inhibitory or relaxant group. The contractile like EP1, FP and TP couple primarily with GQ protein and activate phospholipase C to produce inositol triphosphate and the diacylglycerol. The second messengers like this calcium, intracellularly they are going to increase the calcium, resulting in excitatory responses like smooth muscle contraction, platelet aggregation, etc. So all these are known. And the relaxant group EP1, EP2, EP4 and IP, inositol phosphate. Coupled with G stimulatory protein and activate adenylyl cyclase and generate intracellular second messenger as usual. We have learned this so many in various other forums. And smooth muscle relaxation occurs, inhibition of platelet aggregation are produced through the cyclic AMP dependent PKA or protein kinase A. And EP1 is a contractile receptor. So this receptor EP1 is a contractile receptor, contracts visceral smooth muscle, but it's less abundant in the body, whereas EP2 and EP4 receptor 4 are relaxant in the nature and act increasing cyclic AMP in case of the smooth muscles, whereas the second messenger enhances chloride and water secretion by the intestinal mucosa, whereas the EP2 is present in few organs, whereas the another receptor EP4 has wide distribution. So EP3 is inhibitory in nature, decreases cyclic AMP generation for coupling with G inhibitory protein. So it is inhibitory in nature or relaxation in nature. The anti-lipolytic action of PGE2 is exerted by opposing cyclic AMP generation in the adipose tissue. And all the distribution of these PGE2 receptors in the body is very wide, and especially it exists in some affinity of the for the PGF2 alpha. Fluprostenol, the prostaglandin analog, is selective agonist. So this relaxant receptor IP is defined as the highest affinity for PGI2, but PGE2 also acts on it. The cicaprost is a selective agonist of this PGI2, and it is expressed in the heart, lungs, kidney, platelet, etc. But the highest density is in the vasculature. So apart from this one, IP3 inositol triphosphate, diacylglycerol, and the calcium and protein kinase C pathway, it utilizes other kinases as well as to exert the certain biological effects.